What's the difference between typical use and perfect use of a method? Perfect use means how well a birth control method works when it's being tested in a research study, like a clinical trial, by people who were following the instructions perfectly for a whole year. Typical use means how well that method works to prevent pregnancy in real life outside of a clinical trial. For example, condoms have a perfect use effectiveness rate of 98%, which means that on average, if 100 people use this method exactly as instructed for a year, 2 of them will get pregnant. On the other hand, condoms have a typical use effectiveness rate of 87%, which means that on average, out of 100 people using this method as it's normally used, not perfectly, for a year, 13 of them will get pregnant. Since life isn't a clinical trial, we recommend paying closer attention to typical use numbers when comparing methods. However, using any method correctly and consistently will increase its effectiveness. Some methods, like the IUD and the implant, have a typical use rate that's super close to the perfect use rate, and that's because there's very little room for error since there's nothing to do or remember once it's placed. Other methods, like condoms or the pull-out method, have a bigger difference between their typical use rate and perfect use rates because there's lots more room for error when using those methods.